Ta-da. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Sunday, May the 10th. This is Coffee with Frankie. This is the coffee. I'm the Frankie. It's 10 a.m. here on the East Coast of America. And as we wait for folks to gather inside of the chat, we might as well listen to the Frankie from Flatbush theme song.
Frankie from Flatbush rides the Brooklyn line. Got a swagger sharp like a vintage wine. Everybody knows his name from porch to his stoop. Hustling dreams in every loop. In the park he struts, hits the handball wall. Echoes hear the stories when the shadows fall. Got 1,000 tales and a confident grin on the streets of Flatbush where legends begin. Frankie from Flatbush got the city glow, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Bodega lights flicker when Frankie's near. He's got the rhythm, everybody cheers. Corner talks and sidewalk chalks his fame. In the Flatbush breeze you'll hear his name. Underneath the subway on the magic's real. Frankie's moves got that electric feel. From Atlantic Avenue to the urban hill, Flatbush Frankie's giving you a thrill. Frankie from Flatbush got the city glow, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Bodega lights flicker when Frankie's near, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Frankie from Flatbush got the city glow, lighting up the borough with his every show. He's the heart of Brooklyn, never laying low. Frankie from Flatbush, always on the go. Always on the go. Always on the go.
Get rid of this. All right, it's Sunday, coffee with Frankie time. It may be a bit of a light day because it's also Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day to any mothers out there. But we may have fewer than normal folks in the chat as people celebrate Mother's Day with their moms. For example, we got Flatbush Dre here. We got Mark Zagetti here. We got Phil Adams here. And Matthias Simon is here. But it looks a little light. I got 11 on my counter here. So maybe maybe a truncated show this morning. We'll have to see how it goes. Mother's Day, other competing agenda items. You never know. But, and there's not a lot of columns coming out. A lot of people have written about the rookies the last couple of days. It's been rookie mini camp for the Jets and just little news and notes. And, you know, this guy's running over here. That guy's running over there. No, nothing substantial. We got, but we do have, what we do have is chemtrails, the Frankie blog. So I got a column. You know, Samini's got a column. Rosenblatt I got a column. Why can't I have a column? And I do. It's called Chemtrails. Frankie from Flatbush.substack.com. And this week's Jets letter, Sunday Jets letter, hell of a haul. Brees, the Rooks, and quarterback optionality. So let's go through this. We talk about the Brees Hall contract. We've talked about that. Here's his agent, Nicole Lynn. And so we've talked about the Brees contract a bunch, and obviously a good move. And but then I talk about the quarterbacks. And it's interesting because the Jets have really set themselves up pretty well if you think about it. Quarterback situation is interesting because Darren Muji and company are setting themselves up with some nice optionality. That's the key word here. Moving forward in this regard, which is what you need in the current era of football. Option 1. Geno has a big year. He gets extended. Probably in the $25 to $35 million range, not the top end of the market. Works for continuing high-functioning offenses while at the same time developing young fellas behind Geno simultaneously. Option 2 is young fella 1, Cade Klubnik. Developed behind Geno for 1 or more years. Development will be tracked with key performance indicators and playing time earned accordingly. If he works out, great. If not, no big deal. He was a 4th-round pick and so can develop or not pressure-free at his own pace. Option 3, young fella 2, coming in the draft in 2027. This could be Arch Manning, Dante Moore, C.J. Carr, or someone else who emerges during the college football season. As we're seeing with the number 1 overall pick, Fernando Mendoza and the Raiders, young fella 2 will probably sit behind Geno, ideally, for as long as he needs to be ready to play. Here's some of the fellas in college. And I say this is the best quarterbacking plan the Jets have ever come up with. Yay! It doesn't mean it's guaranteed to work, unfortunately. Boo! But they also have more QB brain power in the facility than they have ever had. This comes in the form of Frank Reich, Billy Musgrave, and Darren Muji himself, former quarterback at San Diego State. It allows the Jets to have 3 bites at the quarterback apple over a 2+ year period while having a solid surrounding cast for all these guys to allow for a fair evaluation. Not the case for Sam Darnold or Zach Wilson. Still, the best laid plans of mice and men and all that jazz. But all you can really do is give yourself as many chances to hit on the QB as possible and then pray to the quarterback gods. Rookie arrivals, so we talk about that. NFL schedule release, the Jets put out this interesting picture involving Brees Hall. Remember this play against the Packers? Brees Hall taking on all comers. You can't catch him. He's way too fast. But the schedule release will be this Thursday. And so we're going to go live Thursday, 8 p.m. to talk about this schedule and how we're going to get to 10 wins. And then we talk about Mike Vrabel and Diana Rossini. We talked about this a bit, where the outcome we don't want would be Mike McDaniel, no S, pairing with Drake May. So let's hope whatever happens, Mike McDaniel does not end up in New England. Odds and ends, there's players that we maybe could sign. Kenny Moore, I say yes. Brandon McManus, the kicker, I say yes. He's only being let go from Green Bay because he had a very bad playoff game, and then they drafted a kicker in the draft. Sorsby, no. We already talked about that. Cameron Jordan, hell yes for me. Russell Wilson, meh. Fine either way. Brandon Ayuk, no. I don't think he's a fit. And then the Jets put out this picture. Here's D'Angelo Pons' locker. There he is looking at it. Great picture, great aura. And they got him in between Minka and Ocho Cisco over here. So 2 old heads. They got the young fella sitting right in between. And look how nice these lockers are now. They redid these lockers last year, if you remember. These are nice. You know, we got the green coming out at the bottom over here. It's really nice. But that's the chemtrails column for this week. Sign up at frankiefromflatbush.substack.com. All right. And you want to get that in your inbox all the time. Lots of other stuff on this Substack as well. But the main thing is dropping 1 or 2 columns per week over there. Written format for your Jets stuff. I don't know about you, but I think the Jets X Factor has kind of fallen off a little bit. So we need some good written content. So I'm aiming to provide that for y'all. But you got to sign up for it. frankiefromflatbush.substack.com. Joe Mike is here. He has signed up for the Inner Circle. By the way, the Substack is free. The Inner Circle is not. The Inner Circle, $2 a month, you get to hang out with Joe Mike, for example. Not to mention all the extras. Yeah, that's right, Eddie. Yeah, Inez Cooper took number 6. That's actually great because he'll probably be a great number 72. It'll be easy for him to surpass the last one. So, yeah, good numbers, I thought, coming out as well. With the rookie numbers, there was nothing weird about them. Everybody got a number that makes a lot of sense, I think. So, good stuff there. Lockers cost the same as a small car. Yeah, well, it goes to show Woody's not afraid to spend. Woody spends money. I mean, he's not cheap. May not be smart or personable, but he's not cheap. We know that. Bryant is here. Eddie Hunt says 16 is a cool tight end number. Yeah. And, of course, Klubnik, number 10, that works as well. I went back and graded Klubnik. Now that we have this Klubnik fella, we're looking more into him. Went back to 2024. In 2024, he played in the college football playoff. You may have heard of it. Some of you are college football fans. Most of you are not. As we sit here, 10, 13, 17 people in the chat. So, again, this may be a short one. But but we went back and took a look at the college playoff game. Now, Clemson was the number 12 team that year. They made the playoff, and they had to go on the road in the first round of the playoffs and play Texas. So, University of Texas is a hard place to play for anybody, of course. And it was a good game. They got behind early, but came back and made it a game of it. But their defense was kind of terrible, I would say. But Cade Klubnik played pretty well. According to my grading system, which if you've been following along on the channel, you know it's a pretty harsh grading system. And it grades passes on what type of pass are they. The categories are elite, great, solid, routine, bad, interceptable, batted, and throwaways. Batted and throwaways you don't get penalized for. So in this game with Klubnik, I had him down for 3 elite passes, which is a high number. Usually it's 0 for most quarterbacks. 2 great passes, 10 solid, 20 routine, that's normal, 5 bad, and 1 interceptable. And that equated to a B plus grade for passing, which is hard to do. B plus is a really good grade in my system. So I don't know, man. This kid has a lot of potential. I think with Klubnik, I think I'm going to change my opinion to his floor is probably a good backup. I was thinking that was his ceiling, but now I think actually, the floor is a solid backup. So I think we almost definitely have a solid backup unless something goes wrong. And then I think his ceiling is a solid starter. I think he really can be. Will he be? We don't know. Nobody knows. But the more I find out about him, more research I do, the more I watch tape, it looks better and better for the kid. And he did. They did. He's been talking about these injuries that he had last year. So apparently, he had some serious injuries last year that he played through, and that affected his performance. Okay. Yeah. Obviously, the Jets were very comfortable with that. So 24. Yeah, we're up to 27 now. So the numbers, I guess, are growing. Sharon McLean says, hit the like button. Yeah, please do hit the like button. Let's let the algorithm know that people like this channel and that, maybe more people would want to come into the chat and chat with Phil Adams and Sharon McLean and Eddie Hunt. But anyway, so Sharon McLean says, the next Chad? Yeah, I think he could. Yeah, that's actually fair-ish. I mean, the only problem Chad had was that he couldn't stay healthy. If you think about it, for his career, he just kept getting injured. If he had been healthy the whole time, he would have been. That's actually fair. Solid quarterback. Not going to blow you away, but you can win with him. Chad was probably what, our second or third best quarterback in franchise history, and everybody forgets about him. But yeah, this kid could be that good. Why not? Joe Mike wants to continue to talk about strength of schedule. Vegas has us at 5.5. Yeah, I think Vegas has us at 5.5 because they don't believe in Geno. Remember, the Vegas total is almost all about the quarterback and basically like public perception of what the team is. Nobody knows how good our offseason's been. And plus, everybody thinks Geno stinks. I don't think Geno stinks. I don't think so at all. I've been going back. I'm also grading Geno. I've probably watched more Geno games than anybody from the not his early days with the Jets, but when he became a starter with Seattle. I mean, I'm going back. I've already watched those games, but now I'm actually grading them in my QB system, and he just keeps coming up with these good games. He's a good quarterback. I don't know. Everybody thinks, well, he had a bad year last year, which he did, but they don't understand the circumstances behind it. And then you go back to the Seattle days and you grade him out, and he this year is going to grade out like a B+ in my system, which again doesn't sound great, but it is actually great because there's no such thing as an A- in my system. So you go from B+ to A. Similarly, there's no D's in my system. You go from C- to F-, because once you're below C-, you shouldn't be in the NFL anymore. It's like, but you watch these games, Geno's actually good. So it's actually a good betting opportunity if you're out there, you're a gambler. I don't promote it. I don't believe in it. But you might want to go to Kalshi and put down a bet because you're going to get great odds. Like you may want to put a small bet on the Jets making the playoffs. Not because it's likely to happen, but because it's much more likely than anybody's going to think. Because everybody thinks Geno stinks, and we had 3 wins last year, and they think Aaron Glenn's a dum-dum, and they think the defense is going to be exactly the same. They don't understand we basically completely retooled the defense. And so they think, all right, well, they made some little improvements. They're saying 5.5. All right, well, if you think the defense we had last year is the same as this year and Geno stinks, or maybe Geno's like a slight upgrade from Brady Cook, something like that. So they go from 3 to 5.5. Oh, yeah, they got David Bailey. He'll get some sacks. All right, 5.5. That's really what that is. But I think that number should be higher. So, I think that's a betting opportunity myself. That's what I think. Joe, when did you come in? We just talked about this, Joe. Come on. I got to go back to chemtrails now. First of all, Joe, if you want instant, well, not instant, but, the best place to go one place to go for all this type of stuff, just follow the column. Just subscribe to we have a column, Joe. It's called Chemtrails. Here it is. All these players, should the odds and ends, this came out this morning to subscribers, comes right into your email box, Joe. Right there. It says, should the Jets pursue the following players in Frankie's opinion? Kenny Moore, yes. Can play safety role we need. Brandon McManus, yes. Being ousted from Green Bay because of one very bad playoff game, otherwise solid. Brendan Sorsby, no. Cameron Jordan, hell yeah. Russell Wilson, man. Brandon Ayuk, no. So there you go. Another reason to sign up for chemtrails. And by the way, if you hate the mainstream media, you should be supporting Substack, even if it's just by subscribing to some people that you like for free. That's support. Substack is the place where independent creators have written columns on just about any topic in the world, including football. A lot of great football content there. But if you have other interests, some of you might have other interests in the world. I don't know. Phil Adams is a historical military researcher or something, right, Phil? But or was. So that might be an interest. Well, I'm sure that there are military history blogs and pages there on Substack that you could find, and you could subscribe to them for free. And that's a way to support independent media as opposed to the mainstream bums that we all hate. You know, sometimes you got to compete with these fuckers. You know what I'm saying? It's not enough just to complain. You know, that's one of the reasons I started the column, actually. I got kind of sick and tired of making fun of them and complaining, saying how much of idiots they are, which they are. But at the same time, maybe, you know, like compete with them. try to, you know, give people an alternative, right? So it's not easy for sure. I can tell you that. But at the same time, you know, the more you could chip away at their little monopolies, you know, the better. So if you want to support independent media, you're sick of the mainstream media, yeah, even if you don't want to, you know, follow my column, there's tons of stuff over there on Substack. Check it out. Substack.com. Phil Adams says, yeah, that's what I did. Well, you know, go to Substack, Phil, and sign up for some military history Substacks. I'm sure they're pretty fascinating. You know, you get that information right into your inbox anytime there's a new column out. You know, keep your information and knowledge fresh and ready to go. But yeah. So I think, you know, it's really kind of striking. The more games that I watch Geno Smith and grade him, now I'm going to grade him. I watched all of them already, but now I'm going to grade him and also kind of tweak my system. But it's amazing how much better he is than what we've been watching the past, since 2015, since he was last year. It's kind of ironic. But he's just really quite good. Now, maybe he won't be as good because he's got to learn a new offense and he's never been with Reich before and he's got to learn all these receivers. You know, that's a fair argument. You know, he was with Seattle for a while before he got the starting gig. So, you know, he already was familiar with the receivers and practicing with them and whatnot. And then had a 3-game audition when Russell Wilson hurt his finger or whatever it was. So he had a little bit of experience with that. And then the next year he won the job against Drew Lock, who's still a backup. Man, Drew Lock has had... These guys can have long careers, man, as backups. But anyway, beat out Drew Lock and then got the starting job. And now I'm grading the games. And now he's not elite. He's not. Okay. But he's so much better than what we've been watching. And now he's got all these weapons. I mean, we have the best weapons and offensive line than we've had in the past decade, I think. If you combine up the talent at the skill positions plus the offensive line. So it's a good supporting cast for Geno. And then Geno himself is better than anything we've been... And I think probably Geno now, wasn't then, but Geno now, probably much better than Fitzpatrick was in 2015 because Fitzpatrick threw a lot of dangerous passes. Sometimes he would get away with it, and plus he had Brandon Marshall to basically, who was just a monster. But anyway, Phil Adams just doing it right now. All right. Sharon McLean, how about Bobby Okereke? Bobby Okereke would be all right. I'd prefer Matt Milano. I didn't include it in the list there, but I am the reason I didn't include linebacker. In my mind, I think that they think they're set at linebacker. I think that they think they're set at linebacker. Let's look at the Rasta. So I think, now don't forget, there's really only a need for two linebackers to start, really, as opposed to your traditional way we think about defense. And we got Sherwood and DeMario, and I think they think that's very good. Then behind them, the third linebacker is going to be Maui Noah, and I think they think he can play that role because don't forget, when Maui Noah comes in and we have a third linebacker on the field, that means the nickel back is out. I have this configured with Fitzpatrick there. We don't know if that's the way it's going to go, but if Fitzpatrick is the nickel, then if the nickel comes out, actually the free safety would come out and Fitzpatrick would go to free safety, so that'd be a little unusual. But if they go heavy, the point is, if they think you're going to run the ball and they go heavy, they want the third linebacker in there, and that third linebacker is going to be Maui Noah. And I think they think he can play that role well. We'll see if I'm correct or not. But like if you wanted to upgrade Maui Noah, I would go with Matt Milano myself because you're looking for a guy to be what's called a plugger, sometimes called a thumper. But basically a guy who just plays the run, isn't expected to cover anybody in coverage or anything like that, but just hits the hole and just, kills people. Basically. So I think they think Maui Noah can do that. I don't know if they're right about that. I think that's what they think. But if you wanted an upgrade, I would go with somebody like Matt Milano. Matt Milano hits harder than a Mack truck, if you remember. Whereas Okereke has really kind of slowed down. Now, Okereke wouldn't be terrible to add, but I would choose Milano myself. But if I had to guess, I think they're going to keep the linebackers the same. I think they're going to look for an upgrade at safety. And then, the interesting thing is maybe a wide receiver, but they may like this configuration considering that we're going to be in 12 personnel, a higher percentage because of Sadiq. So Sadiq is kind of like an extra wide receiver. So they may not want to add somebody here. And in fact, they may not want to really add a backup. I don't know how much the interest in Russ Wilson is real or not. Kate Klubnik may come in and blow them away and be, this kid is amazing. Let's make him QB2, amazing for where he's at as a rookie, not, and let's let him get the second team reps. They may say, look, we want to develop him anyway. Let's let him get the second team reps. He's ahead of where we thought he would be, even though they were high on him. And let's that's a way to develop him, right? That could be the thinking. And then QB3, whoever wins between Cook and Zappi, probably Zappi, and then Cook goes to the practice squad. But that could be a way they go, and therefore they don't need a backup quarterback. They don't need to give somebody $5-7 million to be a backup. They have their quarterback situation set. And then you could spend money upgrading Mazi Smith, which they should do. I've seen Mazi working out. Who knows what they think of him. But if you could get Cameron Jordan to add to this D-line, now we're cooking. Mazi Smith moves to third string where he probably belongs. And especially if you could get a Kenny Moore or an upgrade at free safety somewhere, and that's if they want to configure it like this. We don't know. They said Pons is going to play inside and outside, so we don't know what he's going to do there. Could be a situation where Minka goes to play free safety, Pons, and then it's Pons and Pons goes to nickel, and Azaria wins an outside job. All right, then you're kind of okay. So we'll see how they want to configure it, but The good news is we got plenty of money. So however they want to, wherever they want to do an upgrade, they really can, whatever they want to do. There's still players out there. You want to bring in a McManus? The way I would see it, I would bring in McManus and just release York. And then, you still have a battle. Will Ferrin could win, or Craig, but probably McManus would win. But I'd feel a lot better with McManus than Cade York as the veteran, and you let the three of them battle it out. Whoever wins, wins. But it would help, I think, to have McManus in here. And I don't think it would take a huge contract. And you just let him battle it out. He would look at it and say, okay, given that circumstance, I could win that job from his perspective. And so he may say, all right, that's my best shot to win a job. I don't know. There's 31 other teams. 30 really. He's not going to go back to Green Bay. But, and I don't know how many really need a kicker, so it's not going to be 30 actually. But, he may look at us and go, all right, that's my best opportunity. Yeah, let's go there, even if it's not a lot of money. So that's what I would say about Bobby Okereke. It would be all right, but I would prefer Matt Milano, but I also think they're set at linebacker. We'll see if I'm correct about that. The Jefes here. I like what I heard from Duker and Reich. Yeah, what was not to like, Joe? Everything they said was like, yeah, finally. They seem to get it, Last year you had weird commentary from Steve Wilkes. Our defensive bus will be driven from the back. What? Excuse me? Are you retarded? What? We didn't get any of that. Eddie Hunt is here. I think the big difference between this rebuild and the last few NYJ rebuilds, we have an O-line and a legit one too. That's the key for me. Yeah, but what about all the skill players? Brees Hall, ever heard of him? Garrett Wilson, Adonai Mitchell, Omar Cooper, Kenyon Sadiq, Mason Taylor. These are the type of people we didn't ever have. Not for Darnold, and certainly we tried a little bit more with Zach, but we couldn't. We didn't quite get it there, and our left tackle kept getting injured and was too fat, and so forth. But yeah, this is the best surrounding cast for any quarterback, veteran or youngster. So I don't know. Things are looking pretty good. Some people are going to start to realize this roster is in a good spot. Party with Peg and Artie is here. Mother's Day optimism. Well, I'm just looking at it, Sharon, and I'm just telling you the truth from my perspective. I told you last year the roster wasn't good enough, right? I was the one telling you that. And turned out it was not even close. Now I'm telling you it's a different story. So it's just based on knowing these players that we have and knowing football and knowing that Geno Smith isn't just 1 year with the worst team in football, with the worst offensive line in football and the worst receivers in football, which was what the Raiders were last year. They were even worse than us. And he still threw for 3,000 yards, by the way, even with all that. Kefe. It seems Muji has a lot of patience. He could be waiting to see who shakes free through the summer. Yeah, that's possible as well. And the nice thing about this roster is we don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything. If something makes sense, okay, let's do it. But if it doesn't make sense, if somebody wants $1 gazillion, go fuck off. Like if Cameron Jordan wants $20 million, what the fuck? Get out of here. But if he wants to come in and play for $7-8 million, which is what he's worth, 7 to 10, something like in that range, all right, come on in, brother. But if not, fuck you, go away. Because we don't have to do anything. We don't have, Russell Wilson may want $10 million. Get the fuck out of here. We don't need Russell Wilson. If he wants to come in for a few million, hang out with Geno, all right, cool. Mentor Club Nick, all right, cool. But we're not going to go crazy because we don't have to. The only thing I would say is we Well, we also don't know what they're going to do in this defensive backfield. That's the other thing. We don't know what they're doing. We're starting to learn what they're doing on defense because they're starting to tell us. Duker came out, like Eddie said before, Duker came out and said, yeah. They said, are you going to be a 3-4 or 4-3? He said, yes. Perfect answer. Are you going to be a 3-4 or a 4-3? Yep. Right. Correct. And then Samini was like, no, I mean, in terms of the scheme, what are you going to be? Like, with his stupid voice. And Duker was like, we're going to be multiple. Yeah, we're going to put the best people out there, depending on the situation. We'll configure them properly to play defense. Yes, that's what we need. It's called schematic fluidity. But then, Aaron Glenn went further into it. And he started saying, we're going to put Darrell Jackson over here. We're going to put him over there. We're going to see what he can do. We like what he can do in the 5-tech or the 4-tech and move him around. And exactly. And when we have David Bailey, when we're in a 3-4, he's going to be the outside linebacker. And it's basically the same thing, essentially. For him, he's probably not going to drop back into coverage much, maybe occasionally. But he's going to be at the end of the line, and his job is going to be go kill the ball carrier. Kill the man with the ball. That's your job, David Bailey. Oh. He didn't say that, but that's essentially what he said. When we're in a 4-3, he'll be a defensive end. When we're in a 3-4, he'll be the outside linebacker. It's essentially the same thing. Essentially. Great. So that essentially told you the same thing Duker was saying. Glenn told you now, confirmed it. Schematic fluidity. This is what we wanted last year and didn't get with Dum Wilkes. This is exactly what we wanted, and I didn't understand why we weren't doing it. Talked about it all summertime. And then the season came, and I always put a caveat, but remember, I always put a caveat, but maybe Wilkes will do something that I don't understand, and it'll be great. Well, no, it turns out it sucked because it looked on paper like it would suck, and it sucked. So now we're hearing the right things from the right people with the right players on the team. I mean, we got Kingsley and Agbare and Joseph Asai in backup roles. Those guys are not, they're not superstar, but they're in the right role for them. They're slightly above average players in the second string. That's great. There's a lot of teams that do not have above average players on the second string level. They have bums. The way I have it figured now, I have Tivandre Sweat on the second string. Depending how we configure it, who knows? Onyemata is probably going to move around. He's probably going to be at the nose sometimes, at the defensive tackle sometimes. So there's going to be a lot of changing around, which is great. And teams, there's almost no team that would have a Tivandre Sweat, with as talented as he is, for what he does at the nose tackle on a second string. No. On almost every team that uses a nose tackle, he would be starting. Almost every one. So, this is such an upgrade, and people don't really get it because they haven't seen it. The last they saw was we were getting our butts kicked, but I'm telling you, it's much better. Now, there's some little things that we could do to improve, if they make sense. If Brandon McManus wants $10 million, get the fuck out of here. But if he wants to come in on a $2 million contract and compete, all right, yeah, let's do it. Brian says, Dad and I are hopeful that the Jets will win at least 10 games. Anything less is not a good season in our opinion. Well, that's a little unrealistic, Brian. You're expecting the team to go from 3 to 10 wins? I think 10 is possible, but I don't expect it. I would put it in the bucket of 8 to 10. Expecting miracles is not a good way to live. Brodigan says, I don't want Russell Wilson for $10. Well, if he comes in for $2 million, $3 million, wants to be a backup, it's fine. Personally, I would prefer let's let Klubnik be QB2. He does have 40 starts in college, 40. So, he's starting out at a good point. He has a lot of talent. Let him be the backup. Let's develop him that way. Only thing is, The only thing is, in early in the season, maybe the first 5 games, you would have Zappy maybe as QB2 technically, and maybe you make Klubnik the emergency quarterback inactive for the first 5 games. Just in case something happens to Geno, let's let the veteran Bailey come in. All right, let's let Klubnik, ramp him up. But then after 5, 6 games, make Klubnik the QB2 if he's progressing along as we hope, and let him develop that way. Why not? I would, yeah. Everybody doesn't like Russ. I get it. Because you saw him play a couple of games for the Giants last year. It didn't go well. Harry W's here. Now, Harry W is one of the legends of the chat. I mean, he's a part of the inner circle. And, realistically, you should join the inner circle just to hang out with Harry W. I mean, let's be honest. Because right here is a legend of the chat. Not just the Frankie chat, but all kind of jet chat. I mean, you want to hang out with legends. You got Harry W. You got Phil Adams. You got Joe Mike. You got other people. Simple but awesome. Yeah. Da-dum. Feeling like riding with the New York Jets. Yeah. I think so. I think so. Yeah, I mean, Chris Bradigan? I mean, then there's Chris Bradigan. He's also in the inner circle. I mean, these are all legends of the chat. I mean, how can you really say that all these people that I named and mentioned who happen to be members of the inner circle for $2 a month, how can you say they're not legends? I mean, these are the absolute best. And by the way, if you're new signee up to the inner circle, check out the posts tab of this here YouTube channel. That's where you get your stuff. And we post a few things there per day usually. But you also get links to all kinds of scouting reports, playbooks, draft guides, and so forth. Hey, it's worth $2 a month. But you got to check the post tab. And I do wish that YouTube would at least give us rich text formatting. I mean, they can't even do that. It's so strange. This is one of the most powerful countries in the world. And for their community function, they can't even give you rich text. You can't bold things. You can't italicize anything. It's craziness that they don't want to spend on this part of their product. It's very odd. I don't quite understand it. Phil Adams is here. Yeah, Sweat is a perfect name for a nose tackle. Well, I actually think T. Vondre is a perfect name. I think we should all change our names to T whatever. Like Phil Adams should be T. Phillip. And I should be T. Frankie. And you should be T. Sharon. Why not? T apostrophe. Everybody should just change to T apostrophe. T. Eddie. T. Joe. Why not? T. Chris. See, here's T. Chris Bradigan. Why not? We got Ronald Perry's over here. T. Ronald. What about T. Ronald? Everybody should do that in solidarity with our new nose tackle, T. Vondre Sweat. If you want to check out his highlights, Joe Blewett put him out on X, and they're quite exciting. Thing about a guy like T. Vondre Sweat is he takes on double teams all the time. So it's not always apparent, what his contribution is. But if he's eating double teams, and a lot of times he's beating these double teams, at least in the highlights. But even if all he does is require a double team from the others, from the offense, then he's doing the defensive line of service, because that means somebody else is getting a one-on-one, and then they got to win that one-on-one. But But the idea is other teams have to double this motherfucker because that's how big and strong this guy is. He's incredible. And then we're going to pair him up with David Onyemata. What? And Daryl Jackson. These are big men. Harrison Phillips and Juwan Briggs. What? That's another thing. People don't understand or realize how good Juwan Briggs is. It's kind of amazing. It was a low draft pick. We got him in a trade, and he performed really well last year, beyond all wildest expectations. So that's fantastic. And then you get a big giant monster like Daryl Jackson. I tell you, one of the best things that I didn't realize, Daryl Jackson and Inez Cooper are good friends. They've been on Florida State together, Miami. You know, these kids these days, they bounce around from school to school, get some money. But they have been on the same team a couple of times, and they have a good friendly rivalry going. These are two gigantic monsters. And they go at it with the trash talking as well. So that's kind of fun. A couple of our backups with some fun stuff we could watch in training camp. Oh, look at this guy. Sunshine Salami's over here. He's in the inner circle as well. No problem with Rush as QB2. Yeah. 4 to 6. Yeah, something like that. 3, 4, 5. Somewhere in there. Sharon says, technology will only go as far as the money will take it. Yeah. T stands for terrific. Terrific Vondre. I don't know what it stands for. Just T. It's in there. Yeah. Party with Peg and Artie. It's always a party with Peg and Artie. We were missing violence last season. Well, I think we were missing quality. We were missing players who could play football. That's what we were missing. I think we snagged much more violent players. Well, we got good players. So, like, football's a violent game. Like, it just is. And if you stink at football, you're going to look like you're not violent because you stink. The other team is killing you. That's what happened. You can't have Braden McGregor and Eric Watts and Peyton Page and all the people who are currently third string for us. Tyler Barron. Terrible pick that was. But you can't have those players playing because they're going to look like they're not trying or they're not violent or they're not something. But really, they just stink because football is a violent game. The best players are the most violent because it's part and parcel of football is being violent and killing people. And so the players stunk. That was the problem. The roster stunk to high heaven. And then we traded Quinnen and Sauce to make it even worse in terms of that. So that was the problem. Yeah, if you put bad players out there, they're going to get killed. You need players who are going to kill the other people. That's the idea. Mike Donovan, missing a lot more than violence. Well, we're missing quality, Mike. So Sunshine says he's been laying low and lurking. Things not growing great. Well, let's all say a prayer for Sunshine Salami. He's out there in Asia. Let's raise our glasses of coffee and say, we got you, Sunshine. Hope everything turns around for you, buddy. And we get to stay caffeinated, which is important in these difficult times. Let's check the wires and see if there's any late breaking news on a Sunday. Doesn't seem to be any. I do think that regular practice starts tomorrow. They were talking about practice starting tomorrow, but there wasn't an OTAs on the schedule. I think maybe I was looking at the wrong schedule because the schedule didn't even have the rookie mini camp on it, which was, of course, the last couple of days. And then they have an off day today. And then they're doing something else tomorrow with the veterans, but it wasn't listed on my schedule as an OTA day or anything like that. So I don't know. But I do think they are having some sort of practice tomorrow with the rookies and the veterans. So we got that to look forward to. We'll see if there's any news that comes out of that. But yeah, it does not appear that there's any late breaking news. Yeah, no problem, sunshine. Sometimes life becomes a little difficult and we got to fight our way through it. Quantity, right, exactly. Quantity of quality. Yeah, we call it the blue chip theory. You know, you start out with blue chippers. How many blue chippers do you have on the roster? Then we go to red chippers, orange chippers. Basically, how much above average talent do you have on the roster? If you don't have enough, you're not going to be able to compete. It's just that simple. But this year, we have enough to at least compete. So that's the good news. Now, we'll see how they do, but they've done a much better of stocking the cupboard full of talent. So we'll have to see. All right. So that's really all I have. I guess it'll be last call for questions, comments. Let me know what you want to talk about. We will promote Thursday. Will come live. The schedule's coming out on Thursday, so there will be some drip drab things that come out this week. You know, this game, that game, but then the full schedule releases Thursday. So Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, we will go live right here on FSPN, covering the schedule, and then we'll walk through the schedule and see how many wins and why I think we could win certain games that maybe it doesn't seem like to others we could win. You know, we'll see how many wins we end up with projecting. You know, we'll have a debate about it. This one, that one. And we'll see, you know, then we'll know all about how we open the season. What's the first game of the year? Are they ever going to give us a cookie? I mean, one thing that they could do is give us the Titans, and you would say, oh, that's good because they're not very good. But then again, that's the Robert Saleh revenge game and the Jermaine Johnson revenge game. So that's something the NFL could do, but that would be a very interesting way to start the season. It would have a little bit of a storyline to it, but at the same time, it's kind of like two bad teams from the last year going at it, you know. So I don't know. That could be something to look forward to. But we'll do that, and then we'll do our Friday night live, and then we'll do Coffee with Frankie next Sunday, 10 a.m. like we always do on a Sunday. BG8. Oh, did ask about Vrabel. YouTube got upset with the word sex was in there. Oh. Well, Vrabel, more and more information is coming out about Mike Vrabel. There's a lot of rumors flying around that maybe Rossini wasn't the only one who he was doing these canoodlings with. But they're just rumors at this point. But it does seem to be a bit of a drip, drab effect of all this evidence, I guess you could say, about what he was up to. Vrabel, you know, as we mentioned earlier, and I wrote up in the column, in the chemtrails column on Substack, frankiefromflatbush.substack.com. Subscribe today for free if you want to read stuff about the Jets. But you know, the thing with Vrabel is the one thing we don't want to have happen is he gets fired at some point, and then next year they hire Mike McDaniel to be the coach, the head coach. That would probably mean Josh McDaniels is out, I guess. But so Josh McDaniels is a good offensive coordinator, play caller. He's good, solid. But Mike McDaniel is a genius, is top-notch, top 5 type of play caller. You do not want to combine Mike McDaniel and Drake May in the AFC East. That would be a disaster for the Jets. So we should kind of be rooting probably for now anyway, for Vrabel to keep his job into next year. Because almost certainly Mike McDaniel will be a head coach somewhere next year. We don't want it to be New England. It's certainly not going to be Buffalo or Miami at this point, or us. So then that means we want him let him go to the NFC. Get out of here. His wife's from California. Go somewhere else. Just stay out of here and do your geniusing elsewhere. We don't want you back in the AFC East. Thank you very much. And so that's the one thing that concerns me about that whole situation. But it does look like Vrabel may or may not be in trouble. It just depends how much of this rumored other information is actually true and how much evidence or, video, pictures, etc. come out and what the NFL / Patriots want to do about it. They're not a team that really minds having a bunch of scumbags around as long as you win. And so yeah, that's where we are. Sunshine says, would be fun playing the Titans week 1. Yeah, be a fun game. Maybe that's the way the NFL looks at it. Hey, this will be fun. A good way to get this otherwise kind of meh game, make it the first week. You could hype up the Salah revenge game, So from a narrative perspective, it works for them. And, something like that. Well, I didn't know that was a rule either, Effie. I don't know. I don't know what YouTube's doing. YouTube is kind of crazy, to be honest with you. I mean, they have to protect their platform from, weird stuff that they don't want on there. But, sometimes it's a little nutty. Rossini going to go scorched earth? Well, is she? We don't know. She might. That might be another aspect to it, where she just tells it all, the Puccini files, could be. Could be. Wouldn't the Pats go after Tomlin? Then they might. If they do, that'd be better. That'd be worse for them than going after McDaniel. In other words, if you have a chance to get McDaniel or Tomlin, you should choose McDaniel, of course. Tomlin is basically Vrabel. Why would you go after Tomlin? He's basically Mike Vrabel. He's the same thing. I mean, maybe you look at it and go, well, that's what we want. We want the same thing. But I would think you'd want to maximize Drake May, and the way to do that would be go get McDaniel. So if they fired him and went after Tomlin, that'd be better for us, though still good for them. But it'd be better for us than McDaniel. McDaniel is the big bad wolf. He's the one we should fear. Tomlin, he's a good coach, no doubt about it. But is he that much better than Vrabel? Pretty much the same. When we play the Titans, what do you think of this celebration? Garrett Wilson catches a game-winning TV, then jumps into the crowd and runs the stairs. It's a bit much, Hefe. How about we just win the game and everybody does the jet thing? We need to bring this back. You remember this? That's the real celebration. It's real easy to do, and it's clear what's happening. That's what we need. Mike McDaniel will have options. Yeah, he'll have options, but Drake May is also an option. Where does he want to go? Well, should he go with one of the best quarterbacks in football, or elsewhere? I mean, he's not going to go back to the Chargers. They already have, because that could be another option. Herbert is also excellent. That's why I think they're going to the Super Bowl this year. But obviously they're not getting rid of Harbaugh. So if he wants the head coach job, he can't go to the Chargers. Where else is he going to go where you have someone as good as Drake May on the roster already? There's very few opportunities like that. That's why he would want to go there. And of course, the Patriots would throw all the money at him and all that stuff. It's as good a place as any. And you got Drake May. That's the point. It's May plus McDaniel equals trouble for everybody else. Oh, I see. So Phil Adams, for those who don't know, Phil Adams is also, in addition to everything else that he is also a moderator of this channel. Uh, as this channel grows, we may, need more moderators, but for now, it's just Phil Adams. And so apparently, YouTube popped it up. Now, I didn't see any of this. So YouTube asked the moderator to agree to the message being shown. Said yes. Yeah, so it didn't come through on my end, but I am using OBS, which has a connector thing, and so there's some interference. It's probably on the actual pop out of the YouTube comments, but that has to then come through this software on OBS, so who knows? Pay toilets always cheap. Yeah. Well, they get away with it, so, yeah, hey. Been asked to judge these words: sex, leg, and Diana. What? This is craziness. It's like a real Englishman. I loved Ball's jet crashing celebration. Well, I think he got a little too excited. All right, so that being the case, it's now 11 o'clock. Last call for questions or comments, and hopefully don't use any naughty words that YouTube, says are too naughty. That's too naughty. We got to put that by the moderators. Oh, no, there's a naughty word. Maybe I have to change some settings on my end. I'll take a look. We definitely... Well, part of the problem is too, because if you leave your settings like open and everybody can say whatever they want, then you get a bunch of bots on here, with their botting, the actual bots would say, go free sex channel and all this, and here link to free sex channel website, and all of that. So then you got to limit it, and then if you limit it, then sometimes regular comments get caught in the net, It's no perfect way to do it. All right. Well, looks like that's it for chat. All right. So we'll call it a day. It's Mother's Day. People are probably out and about. Let's just check over here. Oh. Dude. Yeah, this didn't even come through on this side. So, I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? So, yeah. So we'll be live as scheduled, release Thursday, 8 p.m., then back Friday night for our Friday night hang, and then back Coffee with Frankie. And as always, I would request and suggest subscribing to frankiefromflatbush.substack.com. That's the Frankie column, written Jets content on all sorts of things, straight into your inbox, free. And so you may want to check that out, frankiefromflatbush.substack.com. Also, subscribe to the channel. That's a good way to support for free. Give the video a thumbs up. That's always appreciated. Thumbs up on the video. That helps the YouTube algorithm know that this is content people might actually want. And you can join the Inner Circle with all these other people who are members already of the Inner Circle, and you get to hang out with them for $2 a month and get all sorts of extra content and get all sorts of extra emojis that you can use exclusively for the members of the channel. As always, thank you for joining, and